Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and this one is a face with a rainbow vibe to it. So I'm just mapping out the proportions of my face here. So I've drawn the outline, rough outline of my face, and then halfway down the face I've done the eyes, then again split that last bit in half. That's where the bottom of the nose is, and the last bit in half, and that's where the mouth goes. Um, as you know, I don't draw faces myself very often. I've recently been really inspired by Michelle Logan on Instagram and Facebook. Her faces are fabulous, and I think sometimes, I don't know, I tend to get fixated on doing certain things, and so I'll spend like a while doing one type of art journaling and using my stamps and my stencils and collage papers, and actually forget how much I do enjoy drawing faces. And I think for art journaling, faces on a page are really good because they convey so much emotion. Um, and definitely, as I've said before, practice is what makes your faces how you want them to be and helps you to find your style, I guess. So the more you do, the easier it gets. And hopefully you will see some improvement. And I think, like Dina always says, sort of set the bar low, don't have high expectations, and just be prepared to accept whatever comes out. And, being honest with you, I have had some absolute disasters. I have done like serial killer faces and all sorts of things, which are quite terrifying. But you're not sure, draw it out in pencil first and just, get a feel for how it's going to be. So that's what I've done here. I've drawn it out in pencil, then I've grabbed my fine Posca pen. Oh, here it is. It is a PC1M, so it's quite a fine one. And because once this is dry, these lines won't smudge and it won't water activate, I can go over these lines again if I need to. So I'm just kind of sketching these lines in using my Posca pen, putting the outline of my face in. And then once this is all done, I'm then going in and rub out the pencil lines. I mean, you don't even have to do that really, it doesn't matter. But this sort of style of face, I don't tend to put a lot of colour onto the face because I just love the craft background, colour showing through. So doing some sort of flowing hair here. And then I'm going to add some rainbow colours into that. So rubbing out the pencil lines, and then I'm going to start adding a little bit of shading using my Posca pen where the darkest shadows would be. So adding the shadows in definitely gives you a bit more depth to your face. And you can see there I was just referring to another face that I'd drawn. There's no harm doing that, is there? A face that you've drawn before that you really, really like. Use that as your inspiration. So then on the right hand side over there, I've just got a little bit of black ink, and I've just added some water to it, and I'm using this just to go over my shadows, just to make them a little bit darker. So because it's wet, it'll look much darker than it actually came out once it was dry. But this again just helps to add that 3D element to the face, just to kind of pop out some of those features a little bit more. I'm always a little bit careful with the shadow under the nose because I want it to end up looking like a moustache. So if there's any area to be careful of, that's it, definitely. This is a brown Posca pen. I'm just adding a little bit of colour to those eyes. And then adding the catch light is when your face does start to definitely come alive. I'm just adding a hint of white either side of the eyes as well. I mean, you don't have to do this, but I feel that this is what brings those eyes to life. Definitely the catch light and the white around the eyes. And then I'm just going in and just adding some highlights to the face as well. Okay, so then I decided I would go with a bit of a rainbow vibe for the hair. So starting off with ruby, just adding a stripe of that across the top. And then I'm using tangerine, and you notice I'm having to pop the lids off. We've just had an incredibly hot spell of weather here in the UK, unusual for us. And I've noticed that a lot of the nozzles on my paints have dried up. So when that happens, I just squeeze the lids off and just pop my brush into the paints. You can get them working again just by sticking a needle down into them just to pop the dried paint out. But sometimes I just can't be bothered faffing about, so it's just quicker to just take the lid off. So then this is lemon, and then lime. I really do need to get some shorter brushes. These ones must be very irritating, wiggling around in the top of the camera. And then my favourite blue to use when I'm doing rainbows is always turquoise. I think it's just my favourite blue, full stop. And then you notice I'm just using my finger there to just kind of help those colours to blend a little bit. Then this is magenta. Anyone would think I liked rainbows, wouldn't they? Look, there's a rainbow page on the right as well. Okay, so that's the rainbow hair done. And then I'm going to go in and paint in some of the background. And the colour I'm using for this is sand. It's a nice neutral colour because there's quite a lot going on with the hair. It's quite colourful. So I didn't want the background to be too busy either. So I'm just going in with sand for that, just carefully painting around that face. And then once I've done that and it's dry and everything is dry, I'm then just going back over some of those initial lines that I drew and adding some of those lines back into the hair. So you can go back in and put these features back in that have disappeared because you've painted over them, and you can even alter them as well. And then this is a stencil from Scrap FX called Vision, and I love the text on this. So then I'm just going into here with Umber, just a little bit on my blending tool, and just adding a little bit of text behind that face. So we've got a bit of interest in the background, but it's not overpowering. And then I'm using some tiny pieces of Dina Wakley's collage tissue paper with a little bit of small text on it. And I'm just adding some very small pieces of that around my face. So it just shows that sometimes you can do the background first, and sometimes with a page like this, you can go back in and add the background around it so that the background then works with your focal point. A busy background would not have worked so well with this colourful bright face. So this was a good way to do this. Then I am writing my words using a black gel pen, and I'm actually writing them in the hair along the contours of those wavy lines that I did in the hair. I often say that you can't feel sad when there's rainbow colours in front of you, kind of quite a happy vibe. And that's what this quote is saying. Sometimes all you need is a little splash of colour. And definitely for me, that's true. So that is about it. I think once I'd mapped those letters out using my gel pen, I then went back in with my Posca pen just to darken them up and make them a little bit thicker so they would stand out a little bit better. But I think that is pretty much it for this page. So lots of fun drawing a face, practicing, always practicing, maybe not as much as I should do, but still enjoying practicing. And your journal is a really safe place to do that, because you don't even have to show anybody if you don't want to. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this page in my art journal, in the craft journal from Dina Wakeley. A fun face using lots of rainbow colours for the hair and a quite muted background. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.